This is lesson 25, video 2, B as in boy, and we're going to talk about parallel lines in this particular video. Okay, so this is some of the geometry part of Algebra 2. Notice here that we have two triangles here, a big one and a little one, overlapping each other, or one inside the other. And we know that this angle and this angle are congruent because it tells me, it has the two little tick marks here telling me that those angles with two tick marks are congruent, these two are congruent. And A is congruent since it's the angle for both this little one and the big one. We do the same thing here. But sometimes they give us a triangle like this and they don't tell us anything except they put two little arrows here telling me that these lines here are parallel. Now if we were to extend these parallel lines out, a couple of the things that we'd realize. Because of corresponding angles, we know that that one and that one are parallel, or congruent. We also know that if we looked at this as being a transversal, we know that this angle and this angle are congruent. So when you have some parallel lines in these triangles, you can just tell what the angles are, whether they're congruent or not, and then you can do proportions to find the answer. Alright, when we look at this one here, notice that this one and this one are parallel. So if we were to run this line and run this line and take the transversal this way, what do we know? We know that that is congruent with that because of alternate interior angles, and we know that that is congruent to that, which doesn't really matter, I guess, but alternate interior angles would make that the case. Alright, and we also know that this transversal that goes this way, this one here is congruent to that one because of alternate interior angles. So because of the parallel lines, we don't have to be told that certain angles are congruent in order to discover that. In fact, they'll probably just quit telling you that because they're assuming you're going to know based on this lecture. So when we get to some practice problems like D in problem set 25, and there's a picture of practice problem D in lesson 25. Let's see what we've got here. We've got two parallel lines, right here and right here. And we have a transversal that runs there. So what does that tell us? It tells us that this angle and this angle are congruent. And this transversal right here tells me that this angle and this angle are congruent. So let me put 2 marks there and 2 marks there. Okay, which also means that these two are also congruent because they're vertical angles. So we are able to find out which angles are congruent to each other, and then we can use our proportions then to find M and N. So I'm going to look at, and let me get a different color here, 3 is to M as the angle over here that has a 1 and a 2, which is going to be N, over, so that corresponds with the 3, the M, the 6 corresponds with the M. Now, problem I have 2 variables. Can't do it that way. So I'm going to have to find something else instead of the 3 and the M in order to figure this out. So let's see what I can do here. I can do the 3 and the 4 is going to be similar then to the 7 and the N. So 3 over 4 equals 7 over N. Now I can find out that my N is 28 over 3. And then I can do the same with my 3, or yeah, my 3, or to find my M. 3 is to M as N, which I found out is 28 over 3, is to what corresponds with my M? 6. So then I cross multiply. Divide by 28 over 3. Those go away. Okay, so let's take this and move it over here. Invert and multiply. So that becomes 18 over 1. So 18 times 3 is 54 over 28. And that would be my m value. So that's how you do those practice problems, C and D. Other than that, everything looks self-explanatory and you should be just fine. Number 2, brown bear and flying fish. Gosh, very indigenous, inappropriate to throw on there Indian names like that. But anyway, problem set 25, you should be fine.